Well, you can probably, the first question I like to ask, you can probably answer this while I look for the other questions. I ask everybody is, do you know what it's like to not have one penny? Like one more penny.
One more penny. I do not now, but I definitely confirm that was my life in college.
Yeah.
That was my life in college. I chose not to do the school loan route and, tried to pay for everything as it was. And while the blessing, being out in Western Kansas at Fort Hays State University, it was...
I love Fort Hays. It's so affordable.
It's so affordable, so beautiful.
And they have so much online now.
They do. And so, yeah, that part was, But, trying to work just so many weird little jobs. You go to school and then you do something from 5 to 7 and then you babysit somebody's cat from 10 to midnight or just all those pieces. And there were a lot of times that, if I hadn't gotten paid on Tuesday at noon and worked at a restaurant, probably wouldn't have eaten that morning. It wasn't until I went in at 1 o'clock. And so, in college, I do remember literally being down to the penny.
Down to the penny, yeah.
Down to the penny.
So you don't come from money. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You have some sort of experience with being broke at some point because you're a normal, everyday person.
Yeah.
Okay, you are running in District 14. Where is that exactly?
So District 14 is in Olathe, and it only encompasses Olathe. It goes to about K10 over to a large portion of Cedar Creek, which is a huge subdivision, kind of down along Harold and Ridgeview over to here. So it's kind of a nice little square.
Yeah.
Nice little square.
You don't see those a lot.
No, you don't.
I've been looking at all the districts and I'm like, this is weird. Why? Okay. So the first, what I have a topic and then I have 3 questions. So what I'm going to experiment on you with is giving you the topic and the 3 questions and then letting you respond.
Okay.
Does that sound, this is the experiment. Okay, so the first one, and I kind of have them in priority of like how many people ask me those questions.
Okay.
Okay. So the eligibility, strategy, and political climate. So this is pretty easy. Why are you running for Kansas House? What experience best prepares you to represent this district? And how will you remain accessible and accountable to constituents, including those who did not vote for you?
Okay, well, I chose to run for House District 14 because I have spent my career as a public school counselor and a private therapist, kind of on the front lines, helping families through some pretty hard times, navigating some pretty tough decisions. I think that I can help families with practical leadership in that regard. I'm running because to me, it's not even why you're running, it's why you're not running. Like right now, we have to get some massive common sense back into Topeka. Just watching, it's February 3rd today, and we've just seen the most unbelievable bills come through. They are not representative of what I have heard at the door. I've knocked and received about 200 petition signatures to put me on the ballot. I did that so I could get out and have those conversations. Every single bill that I see out there now and has passed or not passed or in the midst of legislature is nothing that anybody talked about at the door. Definitely seeing things like strong public education, huge advocate is that, as a retired public school counselor in Olathe. I worked 32 years in public education, Johnson County Community College as an adjunct professor for Fort Hays State University. So my whole world and my whole life has been public education.
In this area?
I have worked in this area the most of that time of the 32 years, but Western Kansas and Central Kansas was my first beginnings.
Yeah, so you understand the needs of the schools, because the needs of one school district and the other school districts are going to be a lot.
Yes, right, and even just some schools, even within the same school district, can be radically different.
Yeah.
Affordable, accessible health care is what I'm hearing about, the burden of rising property taxes. Those are the things that we're hearing at the door. But I think the most important thing, one of the main reasons I'm running is when we have something like gerrymandering come up and I see the person who is supposed to represent House 14 cater to that and to fall into that dilemma of I've got to do what my party wants me to do because they don't like Sharice David, so they're going to get rid of and they're going to gerrymander the whole map and cheat. That was frustrating and aggravating that we didn't have a real pushback, in this district on any of these things.
Yeah.
So that is one of the main reasons. Just kind of tired of the power grabs. Just need some fair maps and fair representations is kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, well, I agree. I've asked, I've been in a lot of different groups, and I do interact with Republicans that are frustrated with the way things are, and I've let them know through graphs and stuff, and I'm going to do a better job of it when I get time to break it down, about who's been in control of this state. And so if you don't like what's going on, then I'm not saying you need to vote Democrat, but maybe you need to run. If you're a Republican and you don't like the way that the people in the House are acting Republican-wise, run. Okay, everyday people can. Email me. I will help you run if you're going to primary a establishment Republican. I will help you. So, but yeah, that's kind of my goal here. Like I was saying before I started recording, is that I just want to get some sensible, normal people back in there that are going to go in there and duke it out for the issues of their district and not nonsense for clickbait, and bring back some civility.
Well, and I just, even the word sane and severe, or sincere,
Yeah.
well, not so severe, but sincere. So
Yeah.
it's, pardon me, bringing back that sincerity to the bills, like, and the sanity of what people are asking for and what people need.
I just want people in that state house that respect it. They respect the position. They respect each other. They respect their colleagues, regardless of the letter behind their name. And their goal, and the only reason they're in there, is because they want to do the will of the people and the good for the people and make people's lives better. I don't want them in there because they're trying to get a notch on a political career ladder,
Right.
or get rich. Like public servants.
Yeah, real representatives of
like,
what you're hearing.
like,
And if you're not knocking on those doors, and if you're not listening, you
Mhm.
cannot be a good leader without being a good listener. And part of that listening is also learning.
Yeah.
I'm listening and I'm hearing about things that they want, things that they need. I may not understand them, but that's going to be part of that learning that I need to be doing right now.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you really don't.
And, my whole thing right now is I know enough to know I don't know enough.
Yeah.
But I'm going to find out, right? And so I think that when you're trying to represent everyone inside your district, that you have to be open-minded. And I also think that I don't see why Kansas House people especially can't really be interacting with their people, right? Because at most you have 25,000 people. Well, the city council members in Wichita have 55,000 people each, and they respond to my emails.
Yeah, when I ran for State Senate 37, which is a really funky gerrymandered map that goes even north of where we are, way out to Gardner, all the way down into Miami County. I think there were 35,000 people. I knocked on 5,000 doors. I blew out 2 pairs of tennis shoes.
Well, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, a set of flip-flops, but a new set of tires on my car going down there. But again, it's that knocking on the door, and it's really listening. And I can't tell you how many times I go to the doors just within my district, and even when I ran for Senate, that said, I've never had a politician knock on my door, ever.
Are they asking you what party you are?
Are
they concerned about that?
So sometimes, like, I would knock, like, you use a map and they're kind of designated voter registration. When you get an unaffiliated and you get a libertarian and you get a green, something that's not the norm.
United Kansas Party?
Yes, you still knock that door. And sometimes you have the wife who's a Republican and the husband who's a libertarian and the son who's 23 who's a Democrat.
Yeah.
And you have the same conversation with all of them. And I think one of the main things that I really, really am struggling with right now is we had a governor, Ty Masterson, running for governor, who said that we are the enemy of Kansas. We're the enemy of the people. Like, the Democratic Party in Kansas is his enemy. When I had conversations with Republicans, which I got quite a few of their votes, never ever did I think that they were the enemy. Ever. We have different policy thoughts. Sometimes we have different ways we think about things. We're not an enemy, we're an opponent. So that's a little frustrating right now.
As a constituent, I feel like Ty Masters is my enemy. But
I definitely don't
of what's happening.
I definitely don't respect him. I definitely don't respect him.
I do not think he's in there for the right reasons,
No,
and I don't trust him.
But to you, but right. So he's the leader of the, you know, the Kansas legislature, and that's what he's going to lead with. I'm going to run as a Republican with, you know, the large majority of Kansas. He's saying is his enemy, and it's just.
I did
Yeah.
the one of the problems we have with the Democrat Party here is like, well, it's really a problem everywhere. They're just not running people. Like, I don't know what happened in 2022, but 52% of the houses went uncontested.
Mm-hmm.
Their average is over 30%. They leave, there's 124, 125 way out there. There's 3 of them that they have not had a Democrat run. I mean, I only went back to like 2000, I don't know.
And it's still like it's
all red.
Like you can see.
So what are people supposed to do out there? Who are they supposed to vote for? Of course it's going to go Republican. We're not giving them any other options. And I just feel like there's got to be a Democrat out there to run.
Yeah.
If I got to go out there and find you. I mean, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. When I am, that's part of what I want to do here too, is to show that there are average, everyday people, smart people running that want to do good things. And if you can run, they can run. And, you know, there's people here to help. So.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, it's difficult in the sense that it is the most full-time job you will ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And how much you
do have to have the time.
Yeah. However much effort you want to put into it.
But I've seen people do it with very little money.
Oh, yes.
And have success.
Yeah.
Especially for a Kansas house. You really don't, like I said, you should be able to get around. You don't need to travel. You don't need a bunch of ads. If you're doing a statewide race or definitely a federal race, you have to have ads. You have to pay for those things. But a house person should be able to, if they can't get around to tell people to talk them into voting for them.
You can't put on your tenny runners.
Yeah. That's why you gotta
and hit the pavement. Yeah, you gotta.
You're not going to win. So the first questions are about property tax.
Oh,
that was the number one thing from everybody. And I don't know what the solution is. So like this is like, what specific legislation would you support to lower property taxes in Kansas? How would you balance property tax relief with funding for schools, roads, and emergency services? Would you support requiring landlords to pass property tax reduction on tenants through lower rent? So if they get, these big corporate people get their property taxes cut $30 a month, they should lower their rent $30.
Right. Property taxes, it is a difficult one. It is a very important one at the door that people talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that anything you can do policy-wise. Now, you have to remember, being a Democrat, you are in the massive minority right now. So a lot of what you're going to see Democrats do, working really hard this year, and then again next year, which would be the race that I would, you know, hopefully be in that position. We're going to be working really hard on stopping a lot of ugly. So how many bills will we get to the floor? Everybody's going to try. But I think you're going to see the majority of those kinds of bills that are coming, like what we're seeing now, are going to come again.
Mm-hmm.
So a majority of that time in those committees is going to be spent. Yeah, it's going to really be spent trying to take on just the nonsense and the unserious part. If you can get a bill in, if you can get a bill to the floor, if you can get a hearing, you know, right now I'm seeing the most relief probably being necessary for homeowners and seniors. I think those two are being squeezed out the most. I think that our seniors need all the help that they can have.
Yeah.
You know, capping, I don't know that they're ever going to lower the prices, the property taxes right now, but I can see them definitely capping things.
Well, they have like a thing where they can get a rebate or whatever if they fill out a form. Just like increasing that money they get back would be helpful. Because I know it's a big problem in Wichita because then it's additional property tax.
Yeah.
It's not all from the state. It's not all controlled by the state,
right.
Property tax. So there's a whole local element that I don't think people end up just like blaming the capital.
Yeah.
And I don't think that cities do a lot to disparage that belief.
Well, and I think that, you know, you don't want to shift. It's the shifting of costs onto one. So I'm
the things need to get paid for.
Yeah, I'm going to take this, I'm going to do this. And so a lot of the people that I worked with when I worked on Senate 37, and we talked a lot of ways about, you know, reducing property taxes and stuff. And then we had real candid conversations about, well, what services are you ready to give up? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, well, I need the fire department, I need the police department, we need public schools, we need this. And so they realized that everything that they use that was like a public entity that, you know, part of that whole component works together, they really couldn't decide on what they were ready to
Yeah.
give up or to narrow down
Well,
or to even carve off those.
I think that if we were, I know, like I just know from like a city level that I don't feel like in Wichita, I haven't been in Topeka long, so I don't feel like in Wichita that we're paying more and more money for less and less stuff, for less and less care of our roads, less and less infrastructure. You know, they're focusing a lot on the wrong things, if you ask me. I always say it's a priority problem, not a money problem. There's plenty of money in the city budget. It's just how they're choosing to spend it and use it that's the problem.
Yeah.
So I suspect that might be an issue at the state too. I don't know enough about state level. I focused really hard on Wichita. I felt very overwhelmed. This is a trick. If you're feeling very overwhelmed by the federal government, just pay attention to your local government. You'll catch on there, and then once you catch on there, you can catch on the state government.
Yeah, and then
you just focus on. It's kind of my therapist said. Just focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah, see what you can
do right there.
Yeah,
you have a lot more power at home than you do the federal government.
Yeah, and I think Johnson County, you know, where I represent in District 14, we have huge taxes. We have a lot of taxes, but we have a lot of stuff.
You have this amazing library.
So we have amazing libraries. We have amazing fire departments. We have amazing recycling. We have amazing.
Your roads are clean.
Yeah, our roads are
cared
good.
For. Schools are funded. Taken care of.
Say nothing but the utmost positive
See,
for everything within our city. Yeah.
I wouldn't care if I paid 30% of my income if I got free state college and health care and all these other things I didn't have to worry about.
Yeah.
You know, I really wouldn't care. I'll pay the money.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to keep taking more and more money. I just don't understand how, if like Brownback cut all these things, well then why are we paying more money now if they cut? Where'd that money go?
Yeah.
That's my question. Like, where did the money go that was cut out of that program? Because it was all about saving our money. And I haven't seen, I just see you taking more and more of our money. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to cut services, I should be paying less taxes.
Yeah. Or the services that the city said, okay, we're going to cut libraries more off of libraries, not cut them completely, but more off, then we better see fire departments grow.
Something.
You know, yeah.
I need to know what's going on with the money. So the next one I have is star bonds. It was a big topic at the time I was asking these questions because it was right when the Chiefs thing went down. I don't fully understand them. I've done as much research as I can on them, but my understanding is that star bonds, the actual star bond money comes from private kind of investors, not our tax dollars. And where we get hit with the money is the infrastructure investment. And then the upkeep and maintenance of the infrastructure investment.
Yes. So tonight there will be a huge meeting in Olathe at the city meeting, and they're going to talk a lot about that tonight. So they'll have the regular meeting, and then at 7:00 they will have the explanation of
For
what's
the
going to
city?
happen. Yeah. So what's going to happen for Olathe.
Oh,
So my understanding is exactly that it's transparent as it can be for what you can understand. Again, you can read it and you can read it and you can Google it and you can chat GTP it, and basically it just comes with, will there be a clear benefit for the public? And what I heard knocking on the doors, because that had just been announced by the governor, it was super exciting for some, a little overwhelming for others. So basically, to me, you know, if it was up to us to vote in the legislature, if it was up to me representing the people, I think that people are just like, we can't give it as a corporate giveaway. It just cannot be. It's got to benefit the people in some way.
Yeah, I've looked at all. I looked into star bonds, and I looked at all the star bond things that happened in Kansas, and all the star bonds that have been given out, and most of them have paid off. Most of them have worked out, but there's never been anything this big. So I think like not just the star bond this big, but the infrastructure investment this big, and the ongoing maintenance this big. I really think that it should have been a vote by the people that have to deal with it.
And you're spot on that. It is not a 2-year commitment, a 5-year commitment.
It's 30 years.
I mean, what is the commitment they've made up in Wyandotte in Jackson? 60 years?
Yeah.
And it's exact same kind of thing. They were promised all of this infrastructure was going to come, and it didn't, you know, kind of these restaurants and these kind of things.
That's why they're letting them go. They're like,
well, and they also said that they were going to have a retractable roof, and then they did upgrades, and that didn't come through. And then they've even done upgrades for, I think, the soccer, you know, for World Cup. And so will they be able to see that back? So it is that, you know,
huge commitment.
Huge commitment for for decades. And so all that tax revenue and all that tax money is going to go to that, as opposed to being kind of maybe spread out to other things.
I just think something that big should have been voted on.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be putting a stadium next to me without my input. Did
For
they
decades.
take any input from people on that deal at all?
You know, not that I'm aware of.
Public
I never received
comment or anything?
I mean, they're going to do public comment tonight as to, it'll be interesting.
Afterwards.
I think it's going to be, I'm going tonight, not as a pro or a con. I am there to
Yeah, I'm
hear.
torn about it too.
I'm
torn about it too. But it doesn't matter what I think
Yeah.
because I don't live there.
Yeah.
I don't live where they're going to build whatever it is.
See, and I'm not, so I heard at the door, they don't want it.
Yeah.
So now I got to figure out with House District 14, me only talking to maybe 4% of the people,
Yeah.
And I'm only talking to Democrats at the door because that's who we get, our petition signatures from.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking to the unaffiliated. I'm not talking to the libertarians. I'm not talking to
Well, let me tell you, it's real mixed bag online.
Yeah.
As someone that's in all
Yeah.
sorts of things. There's people that love it and people that hate
Yeah.
it. People that are just like, yay, Chiefs, and don't even think about it,
Yeah. And I hear a lot from the unions are like, this is going to be great, but gosh, please let the unions be at the table before the bill.
Here's my final thought on it that makes me support it. It's because we have nothing. So just to have something here that people, like if there's a Super Bowl, there's people coming from across the country. Like to have a destination.
Yeah,
we don't have any destinations. I was arguing with people online about this. I was like, we don't have destinations. People come states to go to. If they don't have family here or they're not driving through to somewhere else, no one's like, I'm going to go to, Kansas for the weekend. I mean, unless they're hunting or something. But I'm talking about like I go to Denver.
Olathe, you want people. I want the jobs. I want the $2 billion that we're going to get in revenue and all of those things. But I think the bottom line is it will be very interesting tonight to see the testimony of what people are saying. And
I think it's just like, I don't know if it's too late, if the deal's already done. But I think that you have to settle all these things when you sign a contract with somebody. Mm-hmm. You have to make clear guidelines. I was an HR manager, and my entire job, it turns out, I didn't know that, was to keep us from getting sued. So I was always thinking of worst case scenarios. Mm-hmm. Those need to be in the contracts. The worst case scenarios need to be thought of and accounted for and agreed on.
Yeah, and I think that's where...
They know what the previous problems with the previous stadium were, and they can say, this can't happen. They can put it in there, and they can put a consequence.
Yeah.
And then they have to hold them to that consequence.
Yeah.
And so, so I think it all just ends up coming down to accountability.
I think the testimony tonight, the ideas tonight will always open, because you can hear 35 great things and you're cheering for it. Then you turn the page, like you said, in social media, and you hear 13 more things, and you're like, I didn't think about that.
At the end of the day, though, does it matter? Is the train left the station?
And that I don't have privy to that.
Built.
I know that our mayor supports it. I know that
I feel like the powers that be
support it.
Kelly
our
likes
governor
it.
Loves it. Yeah.
Ty Masterson likes it.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like they take public opinion to make you feel like you were heard, but then they're just going to build the stadium anyway, and I mean, we've seen that with the graphs. They're like what actually gets approved versus what people wanted.
Yeah.
So I feel like at this point it's too late. The public comment should have been before they made the deal.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So, I think any time you can input. I mean,
I think we should have been voted on.
Yeah.
And that's what the people that's being moved into, that's the gift. They're like, I don't know if I like it or not, but I think I should have had a choice.
Yeah.
And
so even if I love it and I'm excited,
I want a choice.
I want that opportunity.
I want a choice.
To
You shouldn't be able to just do this to me.
No, it's exactly pretty much what I'm here at the door.
So the next one is SNAP and food stamps. What can the legislature do to ensure eligible families retain SNAP benefits? How would you address misinformation about SNAP participation in fraud? And how would Kansas reduce the agency error rates that disrupt benefits?
So SNAP benefits, I mean, as far as making sure that people understand, I mean, those graphics and those things are available, but I think you're exactly right. You have to, as a House District person running in a campaign, you have to make sure that people understand who are the people in House District 14 that are on SNAP and why. It's not because they're all immigrants. It's not the hubbub that we've been fed.
Bit.
Oh yeah, and a lot of disabled.
Yeah,
and a lot of elderly and disabled. I mean, you've got that kind of that, that crossover for that.
Mhm.
We know that SNAP strengthens families. We spent, last year the legislature went on and on about making sure that people didn't buy soda and a birthday cake. That even like food that you get at Quick Trip that's ready to go, or like at the grocery store, like the chicken tenders and the mashed potatoes and the broccoli, that you can't use it for that. That is ridiculous. And I loved whoever brought up to the legislatures who get their per diem lunch money per day. There's nothing in there about them not being able to have sugary sweets.
Yeah, I've heard people
and
say
candy
that.
bar and whatever. Food is food. Nutrients and nutrient calories are calories. And so
When you have like I know homeless people that have food stamp cards.
Yeah.
And they have to buy cold things and then go sneak it into a microwave or something.
Yeah.
They can't just buy hot
or a
food.
bag of oranges is now $7 to $8.
Even when people have a home, they don't always have
No.
proper equipment to cook
No.
it or know-how.
Yeah, I think that to me, SNAP needs to be protected, it needs to be respected, and it just shouldn't be politicized. I mean, we've got lunch, there's like a bill going on right now, I think, in legislature about making sure that any kid is on free and reduced lunch. It has to be approved every year. Well, that's already a federal recommendation. Like, there's just some things that
I read what they're trying to get them to do would take 2 hours per application. Like the kind of verification they're requiring would take 2 hours per application.
Well, we're going to spend about 33% of the money coming in just for that part now.
Yeah,
so
we're
we're pulling more.
So there's going to be hungry kids so that we can pay people to properly process it. In the end of the day, we still spend the same amount, if not more, and then we have hungry children.
And then we get less. So so just it's the respect of what SNAP is for and the reason, and just it's just not a political issue. Is it a financial thing? Is it part of the budget? Absolutely. I'm the cheapest human being on the planet. I go out to eat. My family always says, "Mom, can we go eat somewhere without a coupon for once?" I'm like, "Yeah, ain't gonna happen."
Not if I'm paying for it.
If I've got an app or I've got a coupon. So it's not that I'm willy-nilly. I'm super
You just
careful.
understand the reality.
Yeah.
I interviewed Avery Rowland, who's running in District 2.
Okay.
And that's what she does. She's the person on the phone that's approving them and stuff. So she really knows.
Yeah.
And so when she tells me that's not going on, I believe her.
Yeah.
Because she's been doing it for 5 years. Yeah. She has all that data in her head.
She does it every day, all day.
Every day, all day.
She's the one talking to the people who need it.
Yeah. And so, the reality of what's being painted is not there. I was on food stamps, and then I went to college, and then I got off of them, and now I don't need them anymore. And that's, the goal. But we just got to feed people. I just don't understand why it's a debate.
Yeah.
How are we just going to let people go hungry?
Yeah. And then we also don't need to be
children.
Yeah, we just don't need.
We're gonna take food out of the mouths of babies. That just that don't sit right with me. That's my new phrase.
Yep, I agree.
That don't sit right with me.
It does not.
Okay, it's childcare. Do you support recent changes to the Kansas childcare laws? What legislation would you support to make childcare more affordable? And how would you expand access to safe, high-quality childcare statewide? This is something that is across the board, both parties. You know what I mean? Care about.
Well, I don't know a lot about the super detailed infrastructure, what it looks like for like the pre-K and stuff. I know what it looks like at the public school and what it looks like for pre-K.
I know the number one complaint that, because I know some of the people that ask these questions, the number one complaint of this person was the lowering of the standards to be able to get licensed or whatever, right? But from what I understand, the hope is because they're going to have this office that after they're licensed, there's going to be able to have a little more oversight on what's going on. Because the problem with more lax licensing is they don't get visited like they're supposed to. But if you have a whole office dedicated to it, I would hope that they can, Yeah, and
maybe something like that should be a pilot program first before maybe you jump into something like that, because it is really about how do we support the providers, how do we support the parents, but also how do we support the providers. And so maybe instead of lowering some of those safety things, I mean, my son went into a home daycare that was licensed, and she was phenomenal. She was a retired nurse. I think she got written up because her neighbor parked his lawnmower in her front yard and left it. It wasn't her lawnmower, but somehow she should have maybe known that it was the front yard, even though the kids play in the back. So sometimes there's those type of things. But no, I think it's respecting to support those providers. And so maybe you don't have the fee for the licensee, or you reduce that. If that's
You reduce barriers.
right. If that's seen to be the thing that causes providers to not be able to do it. Do I want to lessen safety for kids? Yeah. I'd have to read through those exact details as to what they kind of put to the side.
I think it was just like they have to have less training, just kind of less qualifications.
So not if 50 hours went to 30 or something.
It makes sense to me to have less training, especially when you're talking about daycare workers, because they don't get paid very much.
Right.
So I got to do all this training for $9 an hour, $10 an hour. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm torn on it. What we need it. We're in a bad state. I don't really know what the state could do to make it more affordable besides just talking to Avery. I keep wanting to talk about this online too. There are so many more people that can qualify for child care assistance from the state than they think. It's much higher than food stamps or any of the other things.
And so if we got that money appropriated to those people, and then that's
just like a knowledge thing,
right?
And
then and then it's like then you would be able to maybe build more, because then there would be a reason. You know, it's kind of that supply and demand is gonna pick up, especially in your rural areas.
Yeah. Rural day. I worked in a rural daycare for like 6 months in Iowa. I lived there for a little while. I love it, but I'm too old. I love babies.
And it's hard to get down on the ground and get back
up and down. You got to pick them up, and I would ice myself every night. Healthcare and public health. Do you support expanding Medicaid in Kansas using federal ACA funds? What should the legislature do to address rural hospital closures and healthcare access? How would you expand access to mental health services across the state?
Okay, so one of the biggest parts of my campaign, as when I ran for Senate 37, was Medicare expansion, and so it was directly going in with what the Democrats had for all of their bills for the expansion, and it gets shot down every time. The number one reason that Republicans gave for my research, as I got on board with that, understanding that that's very important. One, money that we're paying is now being sent out of state, ridiculous. It needs to stay for our rural hospitals. But they say that there's not enough doctors. There's not enough doctors to take that. And so that's why they don't want to expand it, that there won't be any doctors available. Well, there are probably 23 other states that expanded it and worked through that process. So we know it can be done.
Well,
we absolutely know it can be done.
I think we lose doctors because we haven't expanded Medicaid. And so they're going to go over to Colorado where they can have more patients and more money. And we're losing them. They're coming they go to school here and then they leave. And so I think expanding Medicaid really solves all these issues. Like if you expand Medicaid, you're going to save the hospitals and rural access. You're going to have more mental people with coverage to get mental health care. It just goes snowball.
And I sit on the Johnson County Mental Health Advisory Board with one of the smartest human beings on the planet, which is Tim DeWeese, and he has ran that department, and we are certified in accolades that come out the yin-yang for this man, for everything that he has done. We have certifications that like other states don't have, because that's how hard he has worked to make that work within the county. I would love for him to be able to take that knowledge, and I know they're coming after him for his knowledge, to expand that statewide, to get that mental health, to just make sure that we have that infrastructure available. It's
a real problem, because I lived in Wichita, and trying to get people mental health care was a problem. There was wait lists. There weren't a lot of options that took their insurance. They take this insurance, not that insurance. And then, even when, like my kid, can't go to therapy or whatever because it's like $40-$50 a pop, and he's 25, and that's too much, so he can't go once a week, and there's just not options. But I think expanding Medicaid, if you expanded Medicaid, my kid would get Medicaid because he's 25, he's pretty healthy, he doesn't really need it, and really only me and my husband, we have insurance through the ACA, and for the most part we only use it for mental health. For therapy and medications and stuff like that. We do not. That's basically the only reason we have the insurance. We don't really use it for a lot of other stuff besides like routine maintenance. We don't have any ongoing health problems physically. So.
And I know, like I said, House District 14, we're very blessed because the large part of everything that happens in Olathe, and then it backs up into.
Well, there's a lot of stuff here because we try to find things in Topeka and they're not there. So we have to come here for some specialists and things like that.
But as a state representative, you're not. I'm going to be for 14, but anytime that you can make it for the state.
Well, when you
those
vote, you're
important-
impacting the whole state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, police and prisons. What legislative reforms would you support to improve police accountability? Do you support decertifying officers found guilty of serious misconduct? What sentencing reforms would you support to reduce incarceration for nonviolent offenses?
So police and prisons, huge. That's a lot. There's, when you look at everything, obviously we want everybody to be accountable for anything that they do within their job as a profession. I feel the same way with teachers who break that trust with the community and do anything, that would hold them to be accountable, and whether that's legally, whether that's going to jail, whether that's earning certification. So I think any professional in that regard, police even, just as equal, if not more, because the amount of trust that the public does put into that.
Well, and they have guns.
Yeah.
And they can kill people.
Yes, they can.
And get away with it.
Yes.
And they can have body cameras. But that doesn't matter if they won't give us the footage on the body camera.
Yep.
We, the taxpayer, pay for that body camera. That's our body camera. That footage is ours, right? And so what good is a body camera if all they're doing is using it to protect the city and themselves? It's supposed to be for accountability and for our safety or whatever. But then they don't give it to us. They don't let us know what happened.
Well, and that's part of that prevention, and
I think all their body cameras should be live streamed.
Yeah.
24 hours a day. But no. I'm just saying they should be on all the time. And then somebody should be, like when I used telemarketing, somebody would review my calls. There should be like somebody reviewing their footage. Because if they're breaking training or they're not doing what they're supposed to do, right now you're pretty reliant on, and this goes for correctional officers, all of it, they're kind of relying on their partner saying this person isn't, is dangerous, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like how do they know? They're just out there driving around.
Yeah.
They're not in the office, they don't know. And so they don't know unless something happens, right? That they're not following protocol or whatever. But I bet their partner knew there was a problem, but they're not going to tell on each other. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be some other way. And I don't want to make them tell on each other, honestly. We shouldn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. There should be some other way to
some better regulatory things where,
If they had to keep their cameras on at all times and they knew that they were randomly going to get checked, something like that. Just some supervisor randomly checking their body camera footage.
Yeah. I think within what I know of the people in my area within Johnson County, the sheriff and the chief of police and the detectives that sit on the mental health advisory board, which, we have two outstanding, I believe one's out of Lenexa and one's maybe out of Prairie Village. It's the crisis intervention team. It's the continuation of helping them and training them. More likely that's where we've seen a lot of the missteps. That's where we've seen a lot of things that they wish they could have done different, or things would have been done different. And so I think that intervention of having that crisis intervention team where you've got those co-responders embedded with them.
Yeah, I think
that's a huge.
And I've heard the officers in Wichita say we shouldn't be doing this kind of call or that kind of call, or even what happened with DeAndre. It was an argument, and they were going to go out and investigate a noise complaint, essentially. Mm-hmm. That does not require a gun to investigate a noise complaint, right? Not initially. So, I think and that's the thing about, I'm trying to help my leftist friends communicate better with people, because now that I understand what they mean by abolish police, it's not necessarily that you're going to get rid of all police. We still have to have people that investigate murders and we still have to have some police, but it's about taking some of the money that we give the police and instead investing it in different things. I have a Substack. There's like 10 different ways that have proven to reduce crime, and after school programs. There's all these things you can invest in. Crisis teams, more social workers, more mental health care people, more crisis centers. There's things that the money that's being given to the police could be used that would then take the burden off the police and just make the whole, at the end of the day, community safer, because you have the right people dealing with the right situations.
Right. You want to de-escalate everything and every time that you can. And you also want to eliminate these unnecessary arrests and the repeat of those kinds of things. And so, Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah, and our prisons are so bad I can't even get into it right now. I don't know what.
Well, and like using the emergency room as the number one place for mental health, and you're just putting a lot of people whose jobs could be better.
How many
spent
people
doing
would not
other
be
things.
in prison if they'd gotten proper mental health? I know that. There's quite a few. All right, so marginalized voices and representation. How would you ensure marginalized communities have meaningful input in policymaking? What protections should Kansas strengthen to prevent discrimination in employment, housing, education, and healthcare? How should lawmakers measure whether equity-focused policies are working?
Well, we know that policy works better when everybody has a seat at the table, when everybody has that opportunity to speak. We had a really ugly bathroom bill that just went through. Republicans use the gut and go process, where they take a bill that was something and then they replace and then they shove it through.
Like that should just not be allowed. What they did. Mm-hmm. Why is that just not allowed? Why don't we just not let you can't do that?
Yeah,
you don't get to do that.
When you strip an original bill's content and then you just cram it through as fast as it'll go. And, there was no separate hearing. There was no meaningful input.
Because right now they can do whatever they want.
Right. And there was just absolutely no input from Kansans.
That bill there really proved to me that they can literally pass anything they want. Mm-hmm. I've heard that it's the worst bathroom bill that's ever been passed in the country.
I have a lot
That's
of
what
questions.
My trans friends were saying.
Well, and I just even have a lot of questions just for constituents that, the questions that I get through my social media is, I am a 31-year-old sister. My brother is 25. He's profoundly disabled. I travel with him. What bathroom am I supposed to go in? If there's not that opportunity to have that family bathroom, I take him with me because it's easier. First of all, she said men's bathrooms are usually disgusting. There's one toilet. The rest are urinals.
Yes.
So, so she said, now, are they going to do this bounty hunting on me that I went in, and am I going to have a $1,000 fine, and am I going to, be arrested? If I take my brother to Dallas and I'm arrested in Texas, where does my brother go? I mean, real fears when you hear the word bounty. I guess gender non-conforming. I'm a little dressed nice today, but in my day-to-day, I wear a baseball cap. And I have, more than once throughout my life, been mistaken for a man from behind. Not necessarily in a bathroom, but I've been called sir from behind many times. There was one time that I was, I don't want to say confronted, but I was washing my hands and she came in and was like, hey, you don't belong in here. And I turned around, I said, what? And then she could tell, obviously, that I'm a woman. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to always have these. There's like a whole thing. And so when I am flat-chested and I am wearing a baseball cap and I am wearing, a flannel and I'm dressed like a man, because I'm a woman. I gave birth to a bunch of children. I'm not trans. I just don't want these. And so I think our trans community has real questions, real valid fears. Then you have the other set of the population, like I said, with this person.
Yeah.
You have another complete set with you having this. Will there be questions? And if there aren't questions,
I just gotta pee, man.
And if there aren't questions,
I just gotta potty. Just let me potty and get out of here. I'll pee in the men's room. I don't care.
Well, I don't
care. I had to pee in the men's room because the line was too long.
So we were out to eat not too long ago, and there was 2 bathrooms, and I think one was men's and one was women's, but it was just like a single whatever. Well, maybe there was 2 stalls in it. This poor little guy was probably about 25 years old. He is bolting down the bathroom hall yelling, Crohn's.
Oh, no.
And he's holding his stomach. I have lots of family members with Crohn's. Mm-hmm. And the boys was closed. The girls was open. We opened the door and went, go. You don't have time. Again, if that's a double stall, is he going to get, it's just, there's so many layers of bizarreness to somebody just going to the bathroom.
I was in Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere, when I used to travel for comedy. And I stopped, and I was working a job, so I had a hat, and I had khakis, and I had work boots, and I had a red polo on. And I needed to go to the bathroom, but there was an old lady in the bathroom, but they were just staring at me in this gas station / pizza place / liquor store / gun store, right? It had all those things. And they were just, I could tell that they knew I was something, right? Usually they think, there was another gas station there where a man purposely bumped into me and called me a lesbian slur. And so, you know, it was a little bit down the road. So I knew they were looking at me like, which bathroom are you going to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have normally gone into the men's room, but I didn't. And then I eventually just went out and peed behind the dumpster because that old lady was taking too long, and I was not going to go in that men's room.
And you should, you know.
I know, and I should. It was a one-stall door.
Yeah.
Who cares? I should have been able to go in the men's room, but they were literally just standing. Like as soon as I walked in, it was quiet, and they were just watching me.
Well, you know, then who's, you know, it'll be interesting to hear what police departments and sheriffs think about this as they get the call, because you know there's going to be a Karen. You know there's going to be a Karen whipping out the phone. I think there's a boy and the girl's about, you know, and it's going to have this whole.
Is it Courtney? Oh, I can't remember her name. She's blonde. She's in. She posted about it on the thing. She's got kind of a long last name. So that's anyway. She posted about how great it was, and I commented in there, in her comments, and I was like. So when I get confronted as a cis woman, because when this happens and I defend myself, can I get your number to come bail me out of jail if I have to defend myself? Because if I turn around and they're not like, what? And they get in my face in the wrong day.
It's also just a safety factor of how are you feeling? How are you feeling intimidated? And it's going to be interesting, and not in a good way. I
can tell you right now, I can get louder and bigger than some Karen, and I'm going to scare her, and she's going to say I assaulted her. So I hope she is recording, so at least she can know. I don't carry a gun, so it'll be all right. I'll just scare some white lady, most likely, some Karen. It was kind of a joke, but at the same time, it was serious. It's like,
no,
and then, you know. I'm gonna, if they're out seeking for it, if they're looking for it, you know, they're hunting for it.
That's
So when they walk into a bathroom and they see a person that does not fit the gender norm of a woman to them because she has short hair and no boobs, and she's wearing men's clothing. Yeah. I mean, we've seen cases after case across the country of that happening to women. So, I mean, I'm just saying I might make the news. Better me than a trans person, though. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the brunt up front.
Yeah. Guns. Gun policy. What gun safety measure do you support at the state level? Do you support restoring local control over gun regulations? And do you support a red flag law in Kansas?
Okay, so yes, I am a huge advocate for Moms Demand Action. I will be there at the Capitol on Thursday, here in a couple of days. As their advocacy day to help promote everything that they stand for. So how do we protect the Second Amendment while we're protecting lives? Well, that's that common sense gun safety. And we see some really good bills out there right now. I'm very impressed and very surprised that the one that started in the House and now is over in the Senate. I believe the hearing last time to give testimony was this morning, whether it was written or actually attending, was to have a place where if you want to give up your gun in a suicidal ideation, they can take it and hold it for you, and then you can go back and get it. So it's like this massive respectful thing that takes away basically some of the responsibility of the person holding it, you know, because obviously if you gave it back too soon, etc. So there are a lot of smart bills out there that we definitely can use, and most of them have to do with safe storage. Unfortunately, as a counselor over 32 years, I know seven in my heart right now that are, you know, will always be there with me, that had those handguns been secured, we would have those children with us today.
Well, I know a grown man that recently killed himself with a gun. It's just that when you're in the moment and it happens, it's such a quick decision you cannot take back. You don't get time to regret it and call 911, it's over. You know, and it's just,
Yeah. And you know, that's
and then school shootings and stuff like I don't know what the solution is, but there's got to be one. We're the only one with this problem. Okay, so like, look at what other countries are doing. Their people are pretty happy. They still got plenty of guns. You know, we have more guns than people. That's the problem. But the red flag laws are like, if they're convicted of domestic violence or things like that.
I mean, we know that means they're
statistics.
Statistics, and that they're going to
either hurt themselves or somebody else. Yeah. Or both.
Again, and just the unsecured guns in the moment of even those kinds of things, even in the moments of violence.
I think they should all be registered and have insurance like a car. But now that I used to think that, but now that we have a tyrannical government, if I was a gun owner, I would not want the federal government to know what I had
Okay, so
and how much I had.
right. So
You know?
when did we become the "don't tread on me" to obey or die? Like,
No, I hate guns. Like I talk
Yeah.
about, I hate guns, and I do have mental health issues, so I never wanted a handgun around. And but now I'm like, maybe a rifle. You're not gonna keep it loaded, okay? Just something like that's long, and easy to shoot. That I don't have to like think a lot about, and do a whole bunch of training. It could hurt, And I'm telling my friends this, and they're like, and they're all just, and I'm just waiting for someone to be like, Helen, it's not that bad. You don't need to buy a gun. And they're all like, I don't know. I've been thinking the same thing. Maybe we should start taking some lessons. And I'm like, this is insane. I'm thinking about buying a gun. There's a whole song about it.
I feel like the world has just kind of been off of its axis. So when you see, was it Janine Pereiro today or yesterday saying, if you bring a gun to DC, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, this is
the
Republic of- like,
No, yeah.
What is happening, Janine?
I was just gonna say, I don't know if I've ever seen the NRA have to make a statement
Right. Like,
for trans people to own guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the NRA, at least I respect the NRA a little bit here, because they're like, no, trans people can have guns. Okay, they can't have transition surgeries, but they can have guns. Like, everybody gets guns. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Everybody should be able to have a gun and carry it wherever they want.
I feel like the theme to the Twilight Zone goes off a lot lately.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like,
It's crazy. Okay, abortion and reproductive freedom. This one for me, it's like, what legislation would you support regarding abortion access? How would you legislate to uphold constitutional protections affirmed by voters? And how would you ensure access to reproductive health care statewide? And this was very frustrating to me because you guys voted on it in 2022. I wasn't living here at the time, but you voted on it.
Yeah.
And it passed.
Yeah.
That's what the people want.
Yep.
They want safe,
Yeah. No, I'm gonna honor that we uphold the will of the people. House 14 voted on it. All of Senate 37 voted on it. Policies and things that would try to even make it more restrictive, not going to support it. The will of the people voted, and it needs to remain how it is.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make your own healthcare decisions. I know that aggravates a huge population, but it is healthcare. It is. We've watched too many women in Texas and other states bleed out. We know that it's healthcare. We know that it's important.
I think that it's, once again, education and misinformation. I don't think that a lot of people, like, I've seen like those FAFO videos of women like that voted that were like, I didn't know that was an abortion. If I'm having a miscarriage.
I didn't know that a DNC to help me, it's the heartbeat is dwindling and the doctor says we've got only a certain amount of time before our sepsis comes in, and all of those types of information. So policy, no, I'm not. We're going to leave it as is. It was the amendment was made. I know that we're trying to do something in August where we're going to try to do the judges by vote. We know that the big portion of that is so that they can can squeeze this in. And
I think that is the entire reason that they did this SB 244 and made it so hard.
Yeah,
harsh.
No, I think
they know it's going to get struck down. They know it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And then they can go in their elections and say, we need to make Supreme Courts picked by the people so that we can get these activist judges out and save the babies, right? And so I think that, plus just talking points. I don't know, they bring it up every year. But this year it's just particularly bad. The bill is bad. The way they did it is bad. Last year they at least took testimony. This year it's bad. The bill is just horrific.
Well,
there's people in other states talking about Kansas now because of our bathroom bill. My video that I put of Abby Boatman on TikTok for a Kansas video, it's got like 20,000 views. And the thing is, it's 7 minutes long, and like 15% of the people are watching the whole thing. So I don't know if you know a lot about TikTok, but that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
at best I've been at 10% before that, and those are like 1 minute, 2 minute videos. A 7 minute video, that meant that she was so inspiring with her speech that they kept watching. And I was inspired.
And I think the other thing too is like bills that come up for pregnancy centers that don't even have like real nurses and real medical care and those options. We're not spending money on that stuff.
I got
any money that goes to those could go to rural hospitals. Like there's Like those are the kinds of things that just, yeah, those are bad policies for this particular kind of thing. Now, am I saying that I don't want women to have the places to go if they need help, like the right to life and the birthright and those kind of things? No.
They just shouldn't get our money.
But
They
those
should be
those
state
centers,
funded.
yes, those particular pregnancy centers that we know are not medically
They need
sound
to just
or
get
medically
funded
backed.
by churches,
Yeah.
or something.
private,
Or
yeah.
need to be donating to them, not
Yep.
not our tax dollars. Not when we voted to support
Right,
abortion.
right,
Doesn't make any
right.
sense. So what? I don't know if you have a lot of this up here. What water, agricultural, and climate. So it's like, what legislative solutions do you support to address the water scarcity? How can we balance agricultural needs with long-term water sustainability? And what role should the legislature play in responding to climate-related risks?
So I'm a Western Kansas kid, so I know all about the Olathe
that's
Aquifer
right.
out in Hayes, and anything that you can do, and any committees and any science, and that science includes using farmers, and it includes all of the knowledge that they have of environmental scientists themselves, on what we can do to make smarter water policies. Anything, is it going to be costly? It may be, but it's pretty darn important. It's
Yeah.
the entire wherewithal of Western and Central
Yeah, we'll
Kansas.
die without it.
Yeah, I love the windmills out there. My great grandmother, who since passed away at 104, had a huge amount of property out in Western Kansas. There is nothing you can do on that land. There's a little bit of oil. There's like maybe a natural spring. She's got the windmills, she's got the giant. I'm all for that. I think that there needs to be a combination. Do we have natural gas and should we utilize it? Absolutely. Should we use fuel? Sure. Can we use solar? Absolutely. Can
But
we
we
have
need
wind?
to start-
Absolutely.
I think that we need to start thinking about the future. It's
Yeah.
obvious that eventually we will run out of those
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
And I think that's another problem I see in government in general, like from city all up to federal, is that they're not thinking long term enough. They're thinking the next election. They're thinking, they're thinking too much about, they're always campaigning. And it's always about the next election. So I just want people that are going to, like, if I were to be elected, I would focus on those 2 years. I wouldn't worry about my next election. I would just go out there and do the best for my people, and hopefully that would get me reelected.
It's a catch-22 because a large part of when you campaign is raising money.
Yeah.
Because everything costs money. Everything.
Yeah.
A postcard costs money. A stamp costs money.
Gas, and travel.
A physical flyer ad. An ad that's put out that's through the TV. All of those kinds of things. But yeah, no, I think that all of that stuff is crucial and very important, and within Olathe too, and especially as we look to expand a lot of these AI centers and different things like that. That's going to create havoc on places like Western Kansas if they ever thought about doing a data center because of the use of the water and how much electricity.
Well, I think that, it's like, what is in DeSoto? Because they did a little AI thing in DeSoto, or they're going to. They did a battery plant, right? And then now they I guess there was some sort of bid or talk of trying to do a nuclear power plant. I'm like, what's up with DeSoto? Why are they sticking all this stuff on DeSoto? I mean, I've been talking to people on the lawn, like, I'm moving. I'm leaving DeSoto. I don't want to be here. And there was a place we were looking at moving, and my daughter looked at it, and I said, oh, that's DeSoto. I ain't moving over there. People are abandoning the area. They're about to kill it. And so, but yeah, it kept me from moving to DeSoto.
Yeah.
I might have moved to DeSoto, but I'm not going to move next to a nuclear power plant and an AI.
Well, and to go back to your bathroom bill, remember when the Carolinas, can't remember if it was north or south, did the bathroom bill, and the football games pulled out, and the basketball games pulled out, and they ended up losing like billions of dollars in tax revenue because of that, because they just so all those little bits and pieces of decisions. But yeah, no, water and climate and all of that needs to be, we have experts and we need to utilize that information, and I know Governor Kelly has done a lot with water and committees and research and a lot of that information.
Yes.
So
That's a lot of what about my neck. These kind of do flow in together. So energy, you kind of talked about expanding solar and wind energy in Kansas. Like, what policies would you support? How should Kansas balance renewable energy development with rural and environmental concerns? And then, should communities have greater local input in siting decisions?
well, absolutely.
Yeah. I know enough about you from the last hour. How you guys?
Thumbs up, thumbs down,
Yeah.
thumbs to the side,
Yeah.
neutral.
Yeah, you like solar and wind, and And yeah, you seem to.
I'm not afraid of it, and
You're not
neither
afraid
should
of
other
it.
people know.
And I think you have a good balance of because of your history of rural and you understand what's happening out there and how it's connected to here and all that. And then you obviously totally believe in community input.
Yeah, and I was, one of my very first teaching jobs was out in Staten County, little Mantor and Big Bow and Johnson City. These towns are tiny. I don't even think some of them have their elementaries or middle schools anymore. They've all kind of
consolidated.
They did, and they've kind of done that. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the farmers, and I learned a lot from the people. Just like I said, they are scientists in their own right, and everything that they do.
Oh yeah, my friend, he's actually he's a trans man. He's gonna run in 81.
Is he?
In South Wichita, where Blake Carpenter is at.
They're natural conservationists, and they have a lot of knowledge that they can share. It may not be that they went to a university, but
they work the land. They know the land.
Yeah.
They love the land.
Yeah, they do.
They love the land. They want to take care of the land.
Yes.
You should listen to them.
Yes.
So the next is AI and technology. And so do you support creating a Kansas-specific AI oversight framework? What safeguards should be required when offering incentives for data centers? How should Kansans be protected from misuse of personal data by government and private entities?
Well, technology serves people, and I'm, as a former educator, and then towards the end when I was an adjunct professor at Fort Hays State University, we used a little bit of AI, and I don't think we need to be afraid of it in the sense that we can't incorporate it into things, but it does not replace accountability. We need those guardrails that protect the privacy, protects the workers, and
I think the big thing is people being able to take your image, put it into AI, and make dirty pictures.
Oh yeah,
dirty.
disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you can make.
Why can AI even do that? There should just be a law that says AI can't do that. There's just no.
There's some responsible innovation that can come from it, but anytime we allowed just this free reign, and I believe the Kansas wanted to maybe do something or was gearing up towards that, but the federal said no.
Oh yeah,
we're making it a blanket.
They did.
So no,
they basically said, yeah, talk about flipping stuff. When did they become
states' rights?
States' rights.
Yeah. Like I said, here's that Twilight Zone music again. Like what?
I mean, and I got to be like, my governor race is really important because it's going to be having like 50 countries.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now I ended up being a gun-toting, states' right loving Democrat. No, I'm unaffiliated, but it is weird. I see the shift. It's very strange.
Yeah. It is a like I don't know.
I just can't believe these people are all online going, why was he carrying a gun?
What?
Because it was his legal right to carry it. What are you talking about?
I know, like I said.
Don't make me defend the Second Amendment. Don't make me tell you your own stuff. I bet I could find a post of yours that I could screenshot and then send it to you to answer your question.
You send me a Christmas card with all the kids toting an AR with sparkles on them.
That's why
we can't carry one with it. Oh, and then the extra mag. Oh, remember
because
the extra
because
clip,
in 2020 you were carrying your M16 on your back and in a McDonald's. That's why.
Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay, so to wrap up AI, I'm not all afraid of it, but I do think there has to be some responsibility with the innovation, and I do think that we should be able to make those rules.
Well, because the thing is another thing of like, the ball's rolling.
Yep.
It's here. If we wanted to stop it, the time to stop it is past.
Yeah.
And so now we have to make sure that the harms that it could potentially cause, that people are protected from it. And that people have input on whether there's an AI data center or anything like that built next to them. I think everybody should have something that large.
Well, on my way over here, I believe Elon Musk's office in France is being investigated, raided for that exact AI option, which is not okay in France, through Twitter. So that was I just literally caught the tail end of that. So France is raiding offices. Good. Because they don't like that component, and there apparently you can't do it. So
go get them, France. Yeah. Transportation. What transportation investments should Kansas prioritize? Do you support expanding passenger rail service in Kansas? And how should the state balance highway transit and rural infrastructure needs?
Well, I do know that due to the World Cup, they are going to be doing a lot of stuff from Olathe into the airport, some Kansas City, maybe down into Olathe. So it'll give us an opportunity to kind of do a little pre-pilot of how far can we bring things down, how much is it being utilized, how much is it being needed. If it's needed, especially if it helps people who do not have their own transportation, the elderly, etc., then yes, let's do what we need to do.
Well, I so many times, like I traveled from Topeka to Hayes, or not Topeka to Salina to do an interview. You know, and I drive here, it's an hour. Well, I want to be on my phone doing stuff, but I can't be on my phone doing stuff because I get car sick. You know, and then I'm getting notifications and I got work to do. I'm busy. I don't have time in my life to sit in the car and not utilize that time somehow right now. But I get car sick. And so I was like, man, if I just had high-speed rail that got me from, you know, Topeka to here, or Topeka to Wichita.
And we know that
and
stuff.
I could just sit there and work on my computer.
Economic growth. I mean, I've always said if there was like a little bus that I could hop on by the Walmart, you know, kind of over by K7 and go up into Kansas City, I would go out to eat. I would go have a few margaritas.
I ain't driving
would get on
there.
the thing and then I would come back. So we know that it, and vice versa. Like the fuel.
Look at what like Colorado they have rails that go so you can go all the way down to Colorado Springs without.
So like I said, with the
car.
World Cup, they're going to have a whole summer of it. I'll be curious to see what the numbers are. Hope that it does have a lot of support and that's something that people get used to, and then maybe something that they want to move forward on.
This is one more reason why I think we need more autistic people. And
I also don't want to shortchange the
trains.
rural. Like I don't want all of the
just
infrastructure to
through
come here. You know, here I want to make sure that their roads and bridges. You know, like and
that
even,
too. I want to make sure that like if we do have high speed rails, that there are stops.
Yeah, like that. Like everybody can benefit.
Yeah,
like everybody can benefit.
Like I mean, obviously, can't be a stop in every little town.
Yeah.
But there needs to be. It can't just be Topeka, Wichita, or
right.
I mean? Big city to big city. It's got to be accessible to the people out there. We got two more.
Okay.
Economic development. This is going so much shorter than normal. How would you promote economic development beyond large corporate incentives? How should Kansas ensure rural and undeserved communities benefit equally? Underserved, not undeserved. What metrics should be used to? I haven't read these questions a lot. I never get this far.
Okay.
What metrics should be used to evaluate? I swear I can read. Development policies. Let me start this whole question over.
Tell me about economic development. Well, here we go.
I have a lot of very smart friends that make me look really stupid in questions. What metrics should be used to evaluate whether development policies are successful? It really wasn't that hard.
Okay. So economic development should lift all the communities. Shouldn't just be the small and the big. There should be a very healthy balance between corporations and local businesses. Sustainable growth comes from both of those. And then always got to have unions at the table. Always got to have unions during all of that building. So Olathe downtown is going through some really, really nice growth, and they are bringing in a couple of, not corporations, but like name brand things that will come in, like restaurants and stuff. And then there will also be this huge component of those local businesses. Yeah. So that's what I think. It has to lift everybody, not just...
Like I said, the main thing I have is Wichita. So in Wichita, when they say economic development now, I just hear give money to rich people. And have all these contracts and all this stuff and giving money to rich people. And the economic development that they're doing is, you know, things that I can't afford to go to, that have no benefit to me. And they're so worried about, I think they have too much of a priority sometimes on visitors and not enough priority on making it good to live here.
That's a very good, that is a very good
I don't know if that's a statewide problem too, if they're like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, right now, and I know a lot of people that feel that way, I think, like, eventually you're going to have to change the messaging and stop using the words economic development, because that's what people think when they say economic development.
Well, you
have to describe it some other way.
Yeah. To me, it's like looking at the project, and I know Olathe, the Olathe vision. I went to all of those meetings and those seminars and sat through all of those. And holy cow, the work that goes into that. I mean, the details, how much grass, where do we plant the trees, what type of businesses do we bring in. So I know that economic development is not a willy-nilly process. I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of different components, and each one of them is, carefully crafted within the city, and then like you said, it goes to that state, because the economic development within House District 14 is going very well.
Yeah.
What does that look like 2 counties over? What does that look like 6 counties over? And are we doing the right things in the legislature to make sure that everybody has Salina, my hometown, great economic development going downtown. The reversal back to the strip malls.
Their
back
library
to
is great. The Salina Library is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're making it even better.
Yeah. So those are the things.
It's not going well in Wichita.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it is just a mess. And I think it's always been a mess. I'm trying to figure out if it's always just been a mess. So the next thing is, this is the last one. Home stretch, you're the first one. Legislator ethics and stock trading. Would you support stronger ethic rules or a ban on stock trading by legislatures? How should conflicts of interest be disclosed and enforced? Should enforcement be handled internally or by an independent body?
So public office is a public trust, and legislators should not profit personally from insider knowledge, period. So I have no problem with...
Do you have stocks?
I have a few stocks.
There's these like blind ones you can do where you don't know what you're investing in.
I kind of got into them when it was really interesting. I had a young man who taught with me. He was a principal. Decided he didn't want to be in education, so he went into this. So he had to have his first group of guinea pigs. I think this was back in 2001. And so I didn't have stocks. I didn't really even know about that world. And it was just, kind of overwhelming actually. So he came out and we talked. And so if I could take this amount of money and then put it in, and it was kind of one of those, I want to put all my stuff in what is doing, outside of the country. So these foreign investments and stuff. Could I have told you the name of the company? No. Could I have sat on my phone and looked up the stock? No. So that's where I very first started doing that. Mm-hmm. Now, insider trading looks like we know that we're going to start to build 600 million worth of solar panels in Western Kansas.
You have a lot of Evergy stock, or you have a lot of the solar company stock, or the wind company stock.
And then you know that it's going to either be sold or
the
cut,
gas
and
company
then you go
stock,
in
and then you have ways.
Yeah, no.
And it's just gotten so. I don't know how big of a problem it is at a state level.
Yeah.
But we know that it is a huge problem at the federal level on both sides of the aisle.
Oh yeah, it's
they're just like nobody should make that much money while they're in office. It's just blatant. It's like they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, no. Like that lady said, if I would have known it was a whatever market thing, I'd have put even more in it. And it's like, well, that's not soothing. Like you just literally, that was not soothing what you just said. So it's a public trust, and I have no problem with. Yeah, that's just not something that they can do.
Yeah, great. All right, well, you get it through all. High five.
Yay!